right, a beautiful morning to you and welcome to Quest today, right here, Quest Television. I am Praise Soje. What a morning it is, very cold out here, but we are delighted to be on your screens this morning. I have with me in the studio Ifoma Anuku. Good morning.
Good morning,
Ifoma.
Praise.
I hope you had a great weekend.
Yes. How was yours?
Well, now it's time for work. Let's get into business. So we go straight to Ekiti State this morning. This is where the it was all activities right there in Ekiti State as the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced the candidate of the All Progressives Congress, that's Biodun Oyebanji, as the winner of the 2026 Ekiti State governorship election. Now, the returning officer for the Ekiti State governorship election, Adenike Oladiji, who declared the results at about, that was on Sunday, said that Oyebanji pulled 319,224 votes during the election. The runners-up are Awole Olujide of the PDP with 40,543 votes. In third place is the ADC candidate Oluwadare Bejide, who pulled 12,872 votes. Other parties like the LP, the ADP, all trailed far behind with a few hundred votes each. Now, but let's have a soundbite of the announcement of the result by the INEC returning officer.
Olusegun 14, Osinkolu Olusegun Ayodele male of party YPP scored 98 votes, 98 votes. And 15, Adetunji Victor Damilola male of ZLP scored 113 votes, 113 votes. Number 4, that Oyebanji Abiodun Abayomi of APC, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Thank you all.
All right, so Biodun Oyebanji of the APC re-elected as the governor of Ekiti State, but then there have been a lot of reactions trailing the electoral victory of Biodun Oyebanji. This is coming from President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Here he has congratulated Governor Biodun Oyebanji of Ekiti State on his re-election, but told the opposition to rally around him. Tinubu's comment came in a statement by his spokesman, Bai Onanuga, who said the resounding victory in Saturday's Ekiti State governorship election is a clear vote of confidence in continuity, stability, and people-centered governance. Tinubu urges Governor Oyebanji to remain magnanimous in victory and to carry all Ekiti people along as he consolidates his achievements in the next 4 years. Meanwhile, the Ekiti State Governor Biodun Oyebanji has vowed to intensify efforts aimed at driving economic growth, reducing poverty, and expanding opportunity for residents following his victory in the governorship exercise. Addressing party faithful shortly after the victory on Sunday, the governor described the outcome of the primary as a renewed mandate to deepen the developmental strides recorded by his administration and deliver greater prosperity to the people of the state. Let's listen to Biodun Oyebanji.
And well, you are from this state, and if there's one thing that the people are noted for, it's our honor. By October, we'll be 30 years as a state. This is the first time in history of Ekiti State that a government will win back to back. So Ekiti people are politically enlightened. They know what works for them, and they know when to change a government that is not working. So if in their own wisdom they have decided to re-employ us, that means that we are doing something right. And I cannot attribute it to a single factor. In fairness, it depends. It's like an amper. You just pick your choice. We had a contract with the people based on our 6 pillars of administration that straddles across 6 important thematic areas. And in the last close to 4 years, we have diligently pursued the implementation of these programs. And I'm sure that Ekiti people have seen the difference that our policies has made in their life. And based on that, they have renewed this mandate. So as far as we are concerned, they are enlightened enough to know what works for them. And they have made a very clear choice that we have a system that is working, a system that is delivering value to us, and there's no point throwing away a winning team. And that's my interpretation of the electoral outcome. I challenge all of you here to tell me in this country an electoral contest that has produced a winner that has won in all the wards in any state in the country. I challenge anyone.
All right, another monitoring organization of the Ekiti state election, that's Yiga Africa, has also commented on the conduct of the election in Ekiti state, praising INEC for its logistical organization during the Ekiti state election. Let's listen to Yiga Africa.
So for the Ekiti elections, Yiga Africa deployed its traditional process and results verification methodology. And what we were observing was in line with 3 tests that we designed to measure the quality of these elections. In the build-up to the election, it was predicted that this was going to be a very less competitive election. But for us, the competitiveness of an election does not determine its credibility. And this is why we're particularly interested in the process. So we looked at the preparedness test. Now, to what extent, is INEC prepared to deliver credible elections in Ekiti? There were issues about late funding to INEC to execute these elections. And we're particularly concerned about election logistics. But when you look at the conduct of the election yesterday, we can say with a certain degree of confidence that INEC did pass the preparedness test, because the issues or the perennial challenges of logistics were not statistically significant in these particular elections. For instance, if you look at 2022, based on our data, polling stations opened by 8:30 in only 25% of polling units.
All right, so these are some of the key developments amongst many others emerging from the Ekiti State gubernatorial election, with the incumbent governor emerging as the winner of the Ekiti State election. Now, with this victory, Oyebanji becomes the first governor in the history of Ekiti State to win a re-election back-to-back. Yes, the first governor in the history of Ekiti State. But this morning, what we're looking at are the major takeaways from the Ekiti State election, from insecurity to allegations of vote buying to the conduct of the election by the Independent National Electoral Commission this morning. So let's get right into it. Also joining us on the program this morning is Mishak Oza. Good morning, Mishak.
Yeah, very wonderful morning to you.
All right. Now let's get into the conversation. Let me come to you, Mishak. What is the major takeaway for you in the conduct of the Ekiti election?
Yeah, thank you very much. Quite unfortunate. History will always repeat itself because we always try to... A lot of people do not know Ekiti State, which was part of the old Ondo State, has been the epicenter political violence after Ibadan in the southwest. And I will not forget in a hurry, December 1983, when Omoboriowo won it against sitting UPN, and that was, in fact, but for the coming of the military on the 31st of December, it would have been something as the chaos, the mayhem, the killings, you can't take it away. So I thought I would have seen something quite different from the expectations and postulations of a lot of people. Because first and foremost, INEC as a supposed independent organization was not truly independent. For you to make an APC chairman or whatever in a state an independent observer, for the security agents to be used to stifle opposition, for for some areas where they know the opposition had strength, not to get electoral materials and not to get accreditation materials on time, or not even have elections done at all, calls for question. Because 2027 elections is a bigger picture. And if we don't right some of these wrongs, it will come back to haunt us. Yes, Oyebanjo was always going to win. Why? Because Ekiti State is an APC state, is the incumbent, and they have the instrument of finance behind them. So, I mean, Nigerian kind of politics is who has the more money, whether you're not the most popular candidate, but who has more money to be able to manipulate the system, does do the take. And I'm of the opinion that the elections, both in Ekiti and Enugu states, and are quite an eye-opener that we need to do more, especially in the area of security. Our security architecture needs to be unbiased, and I've always seen there's always alignment. That's why a lot of basket for state policing. There's always alignment with the government in power, which is wrong. That is not. They are not. I've never seen. That is where I have an issue mostly. INEC and security agents. They should be neutral completely. But here in Nigeria, we didn't see that happen. But congratulations, most importantly, to Oyebanji. He won not because he took the most number of votes, but because the people wanted him to come back and he started a good work. Yes, he took the most number of votes, but it's more like the people actually wanted him. But then, democracy is sweeter when we allow opposition to thrive, not to intimidate, to coerce, or to stifle opposition to keep them quiet.
Well, I might agree with you on some things, but I might not agree with you holistically. Because I believe that the Ekiti state election is way more better than that of Anambra State to an extent. Of course, I know we have.
I was going to ask you why you were smiling. Can you imagine?
He wants to please you.
No. And this is what I mean.
Okay, let's get
in the Anambra, all these are off-cycle elections, right? So in the Anambra State election, I think allegations of vote buying was more, even though
definitely, yeah,
it still happened in Ekiti State, but in Anambra State it was more glaring. And I also think that INEC really showed to an extent that maybe they are prepared for the 2027 election, because there were reports of logistical operations, materials and everything appearing on time even before the election. That's number one. So to an extent, and you heard that from Yaga Africa, that's Mr. Samson Itodo, who is the executive director in Africa here, talking about logistical operations arriving ahead of time in Ekiti State. That's number one. So I think we as journalists, what we look at from our position is
positives.
Not necessarily the positives, the process of the election.
I earlier wanted to add to what he said about that.
The process of the election is more important to us than even the outcome of the election, because
yes, that's true.
If if you say that it's a democracy, then what do we look at? Were the pillars of democracy truly upheld in the process of the election, even though there were cases of vote buying? I mean, I saw videos. I saw videos of people saying, APC gave me 15,000 naira.
Yeah.
Some people gave me 10,000 naira.
Collect them.
You know,
But
that,
please, do you know
that is still, hold on a moment, that is still a problem
Mm.
as far as Nigeria is
It's
concerned.
concerned.
And then election results were uploaded, you know, it's on the IRF portal. So for me, INEC score, let's say, above 70% for me in the conduct of Ekiti State election. And then number two, we had about 1 million people that registered for the election. But when you look at those who turned out for the election, less than 500,000 people. So the remaining 500,000 go. Where did they go to? So on the part of the electorate, they did not even try. And you can see that did not help the opposition. Because for instance, now, I have the numbers here. You look at the winner, 319,224. And then you look at the person that came second from PDP, 40,543. So you can say that the margin was too wide, and that is because the electorates did not come out to vote.
Now, talking about the electorate coming out to vote, we clearly have trust issues. You see, it's quite difficult. It's expected, like I said during my narrative, I said that Oyebanji was always going to win because of the power of incumbency, the power of financial backing, and it worked, no doubt. Yes, the people really liked it. But then for opposition to thrive, you were talking about, let me dwell on the electorate. You were talking about the electorate. The electorate are a reflection of how the society views our democracy, the process, like you said. And if the process is still fraught with a lot of trust issues, people don't, I beg why they go vote, make you play ball.
And it was a public holiday in Ekiti State.
My vote will not count, so Oyebanji don't win. Make you sit down, let me cook today, let me wash today, let me do laundry today, my vote will not count. Now, the problem should be with the government. We need to do more orientation. Now, you in Delta State, for example, have you, growing up those days in Warri, we had Ministry of Information had OB vans that they used to go around announcing a day before tomorrow's environmental people should not move. Election issues like this, they will go around and announce that tomorrow's election, come out and vote. The National Orientation Agency is not doing its own bit enough, both on print and electronic media. A lot of people are ignorant. A lot of people have that mindset that the system has failed them, that they will not count. You said the process, yes, like you said, there was some improvement. But then improvement can only continue in that trajectory if the minds of the people are democratically transformed to understand that, yes, this is a process that will take time. It is not the fire brigade thing that you expect that, yes, everybody should come and vote. Everybody should come and look at another thing. The most important thing, finally, we're looking at a system that refuses to allow opposition to campaign. In most areas in politics right now, especially in Nigeria, when the opposition tries to, if you go and meet somebody, I want to rent your musical instrument, you are an opposition. Say, please, I beg, go make talks, not on scatter ride. Nobody wants to lose anything because they just feel that those in power already have manipulated the system in such a way that they financially, socially, publicly strangulate the opposition. So the opposition is stifled to a level where they really do not have a voice anymore.
But you know, I think enough of this.
So education like this can
party
help.
Trying to stifle the opposition.
You know,
what is the opposition doing to help their cause?
What I wanted to add, why I chuckled actually, you know, before in the preparation of the primaries, we always talked about the strategy of APC using the FCT minister as a tool. Do you understand? So we borrowed that word strategy, but then when it got to the issue of, just like Misha rightly stated, when you want to rent a place for your political activity, they will go behind in these guys, the owner will refuse vehemently, and you'll be wondering why he's refusing. So this crisis, violence, security personnel trying to intimidate people from exercising their rights, I think is attributed to the ruling party. You know why? Because it has always been their style.
So it's now always the ruling party.
No, and look at the Ekiti state, for example, where people loved their governor, and a snake will always be a snake. Its nature is to bite, right? Whether you saw it walking, crawling into fire, and decide to save it. If you're not careful, it's going to bite you because it's in its nature. So it's becoming a norm for the current administration to always protect what is not worth protecting, what is obvious that this person, that is my take of what played out in Ekiti. Because, like Meshach said, that man, people had already said, oh, wow, he's doing his job. At least he has done something different. But because they are always very defensive. So the security personnel will always, thank God they didn't tear gas people. That became
there were reports of about violence in about 10 local governments. But
you can imagine.
Generally, I think the fact that some of the things Nigerians have been hammering on INEC, logistics, uploading of results. I mean, results were uploaded.
Those two very
real
important.
Time.
I mean, let me tell you. Now, see, let me throw more light on this result uploading. Results were uploaded. I stand to be corrected, or I hope it will change the opinion. But results were uploaded because they knew Oyebanji was going to win.
Definitely, Oyebanji was going to win.
Now, during the presidential election, when there's something, look, INEC needs to prove us wrong on this one because I see it going to happen. If, for example, during the presidential election, when they saw what was happening, the presidential election issues came out. Mahmoud came to give his own narrative. But you saw the next 2 weeks after during the governorship election, results became, it was possible they were uploaded and network started to work.
Yeah.
Now in Ekiti State, I don't want to believe it, I'm just an assumption. No, my mind is just playing tricks on me. It was clear that Oyebanji was going to win.
So let us do what the people want
to get a little bit of their confidence. INEC prove us wrong on this. Because
by
that is
2027.
Yes, because all of us, even me, like saying the electorate has trust issue, me, I have trust issues.
Definitely. No, definitely. The perception about INEC. And
it will
take a while for INEC to, change the narrative that a lot of Nigerians
2023 election, people were hurt.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Because they promised a
people
lot.
Hired their own
Yeah.
generators to, I think we're voting at Falcon Club. It was not like we were there to almost count it. People went to bring gem. People helped
so
in
when they have
some
put
people
in
cooked.
so many work,
Some people cooked for those voters that were, man, when I not worry to stay.
Yeah.
To stay, people should not go. All those elderly ones. And when they start voting, please, the mamas will vote first. They come. People stayed to cast their votes. So how else do you want? It's just like someone coming out of a broken relationship, really heartbroken. It will be very difficult to trust somebody again.
Well,
you have spoken the one that praise likes.
Let's go to Oyo State. Let's go to Oyo State this morning. Our next story. Now, confusion has emerged over the fate of victims abducted in Igokwe in Orelokwe local government area of Oyo State after both the local council chairman and the Oyo State Police Command dismissed reports suggesting that the captives had been released. Now, the claims followed the viral circulating video on social media on Saturday showing large crowds of residents singing and dancing with Yoruba Nation activist Sunday Igboho, popularly known as Sunday Adeyemo, popularly known as Sunday Igboho. But here, the jubilation was described as a celebration of the release of victims, a woman, her children, and a sibling. Now, they were said to be released following Igboho's issuance of a 2-hour ultimatum to suspected kidnappers and Fulani community leaders demanding their release. But then, the local government and state authorities have refuted this report that, look, whatever Sunday Igboho did is not true. In a statement on Sunday, the Orelokwe local government chairman, that is Jacob Ogundiran, described the claims as false and misleading. And he assured that security agencies at state and local levels are intensifying efforts to secure the victims' safe rescue, while commending the community leaders, residents, and stakeholders for providing intelligence and support. The spokesperson of the Oyo State Police Command, DSP Olayinka Ayinlade, also debunked claims that the hostages had been released or that Igboho played any role in their rescue. So there's this confusion. Did Sunday Igboho really help in rescuing this woman, her children, and her siblings? Who should we believe? A video footage circulating online, points to the fact that he actually helped this family rescue their loved ones. But the state police command and the local government authorities are saying that they should debunk the story. So is this a case of antagonism? Because right now, Sunday Igboho, I saw the post, I saw the story. In fact, it was trending so much on Saturday, not just on social media, but as well as on major news outlets. And just a few hours later, 2 hours later, there was a video circulating. They were celebrating Sunday Igboho, But here, the state police command is saying that whatever happened, they should debunk it. Is this antagonism?
Debunk that people who were in captive didn't come back, or debunk that Sunday Igboho didn't threaten the
Fulani and the bandits people.
So what they want the Nigerians to
because
debunk,
that's what I'm trying to really understand. What is playing out.
Praise. You find out that this is just a clear picture of how Nigerians have lost hope in the institution. Do you understand? Nigerians will rather celebrate activists who they see they are working. I'm not saying our security outfits are not working, but most times they keep the citizens in the dark, right? Coming out to ask that claim be debunked with what people saw with their very own eyes, right? It may be a case of coincidence, very possible, that after Igboho's threat, those family were released. But the police and the institution generally for federal government telling police and every other body asking that claim be debunked for what exactly? It should be a challenge for them, or I don't know when our institutions are going to learn to collaborate, to partner. If they feel there's anything Igboho did differently, why not bring him closer and find out? The case of Musa Christopher during the time he had meeting with Martin Otse, popularly known as a very dark man. Whatever their conversation was, but it's about this young man might know something. This young man might have an idea that I don't have. You don't ignore any information, any knowledge, no matter how tiny. But it's beginning to look like a competition. Like the glory, the praises should come to us, not to, what did he do? He doesn't even, just if we link it to this state policing that the lawmakers are pushing for, you find out that there are things that locals know that you might not know. I'm not saying it's because of the threat Igboho said, but they're beginning to make us think diversely. What are the possibilities? So partnership, bring the locals. Guy, what did you do? Is there anything? Do you get any response? Instead of keeping them out, they are Nigerians, and we're in Nigeria. We are suffering the same fate, which is insecurity.
Mishak, your take on this?
You see, that, unfortunately, when you look at the whole situation as it's happening, it's a clear indication that Nigerians have become pawns in the hands of government, basically. And I stand to differ with a lot of perceptions with the fact that Igboho made a threat. And if that threat adds some substance, those school children should have been released.
Not just a part.
Let's just get that clear. Those school children should have been released. So it's assumed that it's coincidental. Now, why do I say that? The Fulanis have responded to him. They called on the federal government to warn him. A lot of people, Bo is a very controversial person, and he thrives more on the emotions and gullibility of his subjects, his people. And that is what has just played out. The threat is not related anyway to the release of those. That's why the police, that's why the local government, local government came out to say it. The police came out to say it. You see, Igbo has always been somebody that wants to gain relevance at the disadvantage of these followers, because he already has the followers. It's like a mini cult figure. It tries to people like that, when you see them, when they fall from grace to grass, you'll be shocked that they actually really have much. Because I saw the videos, I saw the threats. The normal, you are threatening me. If you are threatening me inside the studio now, or rather in your house, I come to your house, you ask me to come and you threaten me in your house, I will be very calm. I will be receptive to your threats. It's not my territory. But come and threaten me outside. And the Fulanis have responded. So summarily, there's not much to think about. I only ask one question. If truly that threat has some voice, those school children, if you have released the school children now, it would have made more sense than say the family, or probably that family, it's a timing. Maybe the family just finished paying ransom, they just released them at such a time that you just spoke. Let the threat bring back those school children that I have seen in videos that have been mistreated, maltreated, that are looking malnourished, that have been treated like they are common criminals, that their only crime is that they were born in Nigeria, that they are Nigerians, that the society, the nation has failed to, to show. We're in a very controversial society, and in Nigeria is one country where everybody wants to claim glory from anything. The police will claim glory, the politicians will claim glory. Let that statement bring out those children.
Friends, before you go on, I want to add to what Meshach just said. This is also a case of some persons being treated preferentially, right? If it's we know the case of Iboho is like an activist who called for separation of the Oduduwa. Yeah. If it's another person who spoke like this and took glory, we know what the federal government will do. We know what the security institutions are going to do. But it's just about warning. I clearly understand their warning, because obviously it's going to contradict and complicate whatever efforts they are making or they have made. If Sunday Igboho started saying, okay, it is because I spoke. But when somebody contradicts something like security case in this Nigeria that we are in today, they don't take it lightly. There's a case, somebody was telling me a story in Ogun State where somebody from the southeast made a content out of, rattling people that bandits have entered Ogun State and all that. And he was picked up. He hasn't been released.
And he was just picked up. He's been manhandled.
Do you understand? So is it because it's Sunday Igboho?
Exactly.
That they are, treating it with a velvet gloves? We don't know. We don't know.